In this video, we're going to be learning ricochet in 5 steps, specifically Paganini's Caprice No. 5. You ready for this? It's violin time. Hey, I'm Lynn Kuo. I'm founder of Violin with Dr. Lynn, where I coach motivated violinists how to master their instrument and become more fearless performers. Today we're going to be covering ricochet in Paganini's Caprice No. 5 in 5 steps. Now, I've struggled with this caprice for quite a while. Actually, it wasn't too long that I started this caprice. I started it after struggling with the stroke, thinking that I could never play this caprice. It looked way too difficult with the flying arpeggios and, of course, the ricochet stroke. However, I persevered and stuck with it, and step by step by step, I have been able to figure out how to play this ricochet. So I'm going to take you through 5 steps. Now, before I give you the 5 steps on how I learned the ricochet in Paganini's Caprice No. 5, I'd like to take a moment to review what off-the-string strokes are. Off-the-string strokes encompass ricochet and also include spiccato and sautier, as well as saltando. So, let's take a look. Spiccato is a bouncing stroke that's off the string and a muscular impulse is controlling each stroke. Sautier, the stick starts to jump. Sautier meaning sauter, to jump. The stick is jumping on its own. Now, saltando is similar. Usually it's saltando across different strings. Now, look out for a future tutorial on me teaching you how to do 4-string saltando. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell for that video to come out. And if you haven't seen my spiccato tutorials and where I talk about all of the properties of off-the-string strokes, be sure to check them out in the cards above or in the description box below. Okay, so ricochet stroke, like sautier and like spiccato, is an off-the-string stroke. The bow is coming off the string and bouncing. So there is definitely a ricochet effect that is a natural consequence of gravity. The gravity brings the bow down to the string, and because the string is bouncy, it ricochets off. So we are harnessing the bouncy properties of our instrument. There's bouncy properties on the string, there's bouncy properties in the hair, and bouncy properties of the stick. So let's quickly review the 4 bow properties that are in spiccato, which I have in my spiccato tutorial. We're going to review where in the bow, and I like to call this the middle zone. Ricochet will happen in the middle zone of the bow, just like in sautier. So where I am in the bow will determine the nature of the ricochet. If my ricochet is quite slow, I can afford to be a little lower in my middle zone, so closer to the frog. So if I wanted to do... So basically I am in the middle zone, perhaps here. Now if I wanted to get faster, I would probably move my bow a little bit higher. So where in the bow is definitely a factor if you want to do a ricochet that is slower or faster. And this will be a micro adjustment in the middle zone. Where you are will determine the speed of your ricochet. If you want a faster ricochet, try a little closer to the tip. If you want a slower ricochet, go a little closer to the frog. You can hear the difference in speed as I move very slight increments up and down the stick in the middle zone. So let's review the height of the bow. In ricochet, the height is very much a factor in ricochet. The slower your ricochet, the higher the bounce of your bow, just like in spiccato. The faster your ricochet, the lower the bounce. Okay? So just like in spiccato, the height is a crucial factor. Now, another crucial factor in ricochet is the tilt of the bow, just like in spiccato. If you want a very bouncy ricochet, you want to flatten the hair. If you want it to be a little less bouncy, you would tilt the stick a little further away from your face, and that becomes a little more brushy, and it doesn't bounce as high, or doesn't bounce as much. That's a tilted stick. If I flatten the hair, you can hear that it gets bouncy. Now, similar to spiccato, the fourth variable in ricochet is the contact point. Where you are between the fingerboard and the frog makes a difference. Now, general rule, if you are doing ricochet on a lower string or a longer string, I would put the contact point a little further out to the fingerboard. So on the G string, I would move it further to the fingerboard. But on the upper strings or shorter strings, I would move the contact point closer to the frog. Now you can see the contact point is closer to the middle, let's say contact point 3. But if I move contact point 3 and try ricochet there, it doesn't quite work. I have to move it a little further out to contact point 4-ish or 5-ish. Oh, that was a little bit messy, but you get the picture. So moving it out to a long contact point that's further out for longer strings and lower strings works better. It doesn't work so well here. It becomes a little flabby. So we get to the 5 steps on how to build ricochet in Paganini's Caprice number 5. Step number 1 in building ricochet is what I like to call the wild bounce method. Now you're just starting out, you're going to use gravity, and you're going to use the weight of your stick and literally from the air take a wild bounce approach. Pretty wild and pretty bouncy. You're just doing one bounce. So this is step number 1. You can do 1 stroke and then 2 strokes. As you can see, the height is quite high. If you want to make it faster, bring down the height. Listen to the sound quality. You want to get it faster, get closer and closer. Now you see I'm moving my bow a little closer to the tip as I get quicker because it's liking it there. So where in the middle zone, I'm moving it up. So that's 2 strokes. Ooh, a lot of wind. Step 3 is to do 2 down bows plus 1 up bow. Ready? So the wild bounce method on 2 strokes on the down bow and then 1 on the up bow. You can try it on different strings. I'm keeping my eye on the contact point, and I'll move my contact point a little closer for the E string, and it's getting a little quicker here too. Pay attention to the properties of the bounce. How does a bow behave on each string and each contact point? How does it behave on this contact point versus this contact point? So you can hear how the sound was starting to choke. So that's where I apply a little bit of the 5th variable, which I didn't mention, and that's the horizontal motion of the arm. Now vertical, we talked about the drop, the vertical motion. Now this is quite vertical, but if you want to experiment, you can add a little bit of length, horizontal. You see how my sound gets a little bit more substance? Now you can draw that bow a little more horizontally. Try that on E string. Oh, getting squeaks. You can try more vertical. The wind is helping me push more vertical motion down. Okay. Step number 4 is to do 3 bounces. You can stay on open strings. 3 bounces on a down bow plus 1 on the up bow. Here we go. So this is quite a high bounce, as we mentioned, and I'm staying to one part of the bow in the middle zone. I'm staying to 1 contact point, and I'm staying on 1 string. Now, as I hear the sound, it's starting to get a little choked, so that tells me I need to pull a little bit more horizontal motion at this tempo. If I wanted to go faster, I go closer to the string, a little lower in the bounce, a little lower in the height. I may need to pull a little bit more horizontal motion. Okay, so that's step 4. Step 5, after you've practiced all of these bounces, wild bounces on open strings, is to start practicing it inside the caprice. So you can take it slow. Remember that slower the bounce, slower the ricochet, the bounce will be higher. And you might need to feel out how much horizontal motion you will need. So now you're probably wondering, how are you going to navigate the different strings when it crosses strings so many times? So the only solution that I have come up with is to really pay attention to the property of the D string versus the G string. Each string will have its different property. For example, will feel so much different on the A string than it does on the G string. So you notice that my contact point is already different. Now, use your ears to determine whether you're getting enough sound quality or if it's getting choked. That's a bit choked. That tells me I need to pull a bit more horizontal motion. Okay, so that was 5 steps to ricochet. Now, you're always using your ears to determine if you like the quality of the sound. If you are hearing not enough sound quality, pull a little bit more horizontal. If you're not getting enough sound quality, like that, and a raspy sound, that means you're probably too close to the bridge. Just changing the contact point will help. Okay, so remember all of these variables. If you need to review, rewind the video or visit my Spiccato tutorial where I cover all of those bow variables and more. So, if you have any more questions about the ricochet, let me know in the comments below if I've missed any details. I have a few more ricochet tutorials on my Instagram and Facebook, actually. So if you have been to my Instagram and Facebook account, go ahead and visit them there as well. Or just send me a message. Leave me a message in the comments. Lynn, I'm not sure what you meant by that. Please explain. I'm happy to read your comments. I read them all. You might want to check the rest of my tutorials out. They're right here, or you can check them out in the description box below. Stay tuned for more videos. If you like this video, if it was helpful, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell. I will see you in the next video.